This is the story of a whisper, a man, a legend spoken in hushed words behind locked doors. It is said that if he writes you a story, then the gory details of that story will happen to you. I, being a skeptic of these sort of things, didn't believe them at all and laughed when someone tried to scare me by telling another campfire story of this mystic man. Apparently the legend goes like this. There was a man who lived and worked as a freelance writer here in this town over 100 years ago. He would spend his days barricaded in a dark, cozy room where he poured his thoughts and soul onto pages. He had a very occult fan base and would sell out his books straight after he'd written them. I'm 16 years old and I like to explore with my friends. Now the legend says that this man lives on the far side of town in a huge house. So one day my friends and I decided that we would put an end to this rumour once and for all. After arriving at the house with my three friends, Chelsea, the only girl and the oldest of the bunch, Danny, the second oldest, and Chris, who was my age, we noticed that it looked like it was about to fall down. It was really old, decrepit, and it smelled funny. It was night time, so we couldn't really see that much, but we knew that we shouldn't even go into this house, even though it didn't have a front door. Walking through the broken halls of that old house, I remember thinking of just how someone could live here. There was no front door, no lights, running water, heat, nothing. The house had to be at least 10 bedrooms, and if someone did live here alone, they must have been lonely. The house itself is in the middle of one road and is the only house for around 3 miles in every direction. Around 20 minutes into our hunt, I hear Danny call out from somewhere in the house that echoed through the old halls.
Guys, I found something, come here.
I jogged towards the sound and on arrival was greeted by my friends all looking down at what he held in his hands. It was a book, a very old book with no title and just a black cover. He had it opened on the first page, which we all instantly knew was written in blood. We all screamed as Danny read it out.
Hello Danny, Chelsea, Chris and Aaron. You have found my home and crossed the sacred line. So to thank you, I will grant you the privilege of knowing when and how you will die. First you, Danny. You will be...
Chelsea stopped him in his tracks and we all ran the hell out of that house, screaming and running for our bikes. We arrived at my house and were all sweating and found it hard to breathe as we cycle sprinted the whole 3.4 miles from that god-forsaken place to my house. We sat there in silence just looking at each other. That can't be, can it, Chelsea? I don't know, but I'm never going back there again. It was a stupid idea, Aaron.
Hey, I didn't hold a gun to your head and make you go. You're a big girl.
We exchanged insults for a few more minutes before they all left and I found myself alone. Could the legend be true? We didn't see anyone in that house at all, but that book, how did it even get there, and how did they know we would find it, and why did they write it about us? 8 days have passed now, and all my friends are dead, in horrific accidents according to the police report. But I knew it was the work of one man. I decided that I needed to see that book, so I can try and stop this thing once and for all and possibly save my own life. Like I said, I am a skeptic and I wanted to get my hands on the book so I could read the last page, which I knew had my name on it. I knew that this was linked to that book, so I started the long trek back one day on my own. I was determined to find closure for my friends and myself. I arrived there and the house was beautiful now, not a sign of decay anywhere. The garden was beautiful with a huge water fountain and I could see inside the house. It was full of furniture and brightly lit. Did I come to the wrong house? When we came to this house before, like I said, it was night time, so it was already pitch black, but I knew that this wasn't the same house as before. I walked around the house to the back and saw a shed that was out of place with the rest of the house. It was more in matching the description of the house I saw a week before. It looked as if it was about to fall any second. Something urged me to go inside, so after around 10 minutes of carefully walking over and opening the door, I entered the shed. I was pleased to see that it was just an ordinary shed, with garden tools and chairs of the like, but that book, it was sitting there on a woodworm infested table and chair, with a pot of deep red liquid next to it I knew to be blood, possibly the blood of my friends. There was also a quill next to the pot, a huge black feather. I urged myself to open the book, and when I did, I saw the same writing. "Hello Danny, Chelsea, Chris and Aaron. You have found your way into my home and crossed the sacred line. So to thank you, I will grant you the privilege of knowing when and how you will die. First you, Danny. A few days from now, I will come to your house one evening and break your neck. You will fight back, but there will be no use. Chelsea, I will follow you home from school one day and push you into speeding traffic. Very messy. Chris, I'm going to slip something more deliberate into your Friday lasagna, and you will be choking on your own blood within the hour. And finally, you, Aaron. I've saved you until last. Around a week from now, after all of your friends are dead, you will seek me and this book. You will ride alone to my house one day, come around back, find the shed, find this book, read of your friends' deaths unfolding before your eyes, and when reading your own death page, this page, you will have garden shears inserted nicely into your upper back, and you will bleed to death in agony. And when that day comes, and I see the life drain from your eyes, my work will be complete, and I can finally move on. I woke up 3 days later in the local hospital with an excruciating pain in my side and the worst headache I've ever had. Hey there, you've been out for 3 days. The doctor looked relieved to see me.